Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. We're going to continue doing some league matches. I ended up going 3-0 the last 3 league matches I played. And so I believe the league rules are we can't change our deck at all. We're not only allowed to not sell any of these cards, but I don't even think we can switch our deck around for the league. So we got to stick with this deck. I'm fine with the build. I mean, it obviously ran very well for us. If you have questions about how this deck works, I'd suggest just watching the deck text from the previous videos. All right, let's jump right into some league matches. All right, here in our first match of the day, and we've got ourselves a keep here. 3 Whirler Rogues is a little weird, but Hangerback and Negate keep us busy, so got stuff to do. We have both colors. Seems like a keep. See a white mana. And we don't know what we're up against. All right, it's a good draw. We'll take it. Need another blue mana to get that Whirler Rogue online, but that's no problem. All right, no 2-drop. Not exactly sure what we're up against yet. That was a good draw. That is what is known as a good draw. Let's see if he burns it right away, which is acceptable. All right. 3-drop. Monastery Mentor. That's a good one. Okay. So now we just sit back on Walker. He can burn Hangerback, but we can negate it, and I think that's acceptable too. Maybe we'll end up negating something more relevant. Which also seems fine. So we'll take it. No play. All right. So we're going to use it now. If he burns it in response, we'll negate. Okay. So this ends up working out pretty good. We take 1 less damage. He does get a dude, but we're still fine, and we maximize use of negate, so I kind of like it. So let's save our dude, make him bigger. Impulse here is going to be real good, so let's just get that out of the way right now. Take care of that problem. I know we got to get Whirler Rogues online, but this just seems so much more of a priority in my mind. So what are the chances he's got a burn spell? I think we're actually gonna use it right now. I can't protect him anymore, so I'd rather just use it, get it out of harm's way of like Wild Slash and Impulse right away. We will have to get beaten with a monk, but I'm willing to take the damage at the moment. See if we get Wingmate rocked. It's a pretty good chance, I would say. Or not. Interesting. Okay. So I think we're going to swing here. 3 damage. Even though we could pump it, I think I'd rather just get some damage in. Okay. I don't think he's got, at least I'm hoping. It doesn't actually matter. I was going to say, I hope he doesn't have main deck board wipe, but it's really not important because we have 2 more turns of Whirler Rogues regardless, so just putting a bunch of dudes out right now seems fine to me. Plus Foundry. I mean, we're staying busy for a while here. Hangerback's totally irrelevant. 2 cards left in my opponent's hand. Well, this seems pretty good. We'll go Foundry, Whirler Rogue number 2. And we're going to swing for 7. Guess it's in our best interest to hold up this Whirler Rogue now, since just not going to need him. Murderous Cut? All right. Would we have had lethal next turn? We would have dealt 7. I don't think we had lethal next turn anyway, but guess now I have more incentive to play the second Whirler Rogue again. If he's playing Murderous Cut, I don't think he's got a board wipe. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just take 2 extra damage and board wipe? Chandra's Ignition. So he did have board wipe? I don't get it. All right. Opponent just confused me. Main deck Chandra's Ignition. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. I'm thinking my opponent just drew the Ignition. Otherwise, you just take... Yeah, my opponent must have just had a nice little top deck there, I think. Otherwise, like I said, I don't think that play makes any sense. So it looks like we just want more negates right now. Just a lot of spells. Crackling Dooms and stuff for days. We definitely want to keep our burn spells in since Monastery Mentor is such a powerhouse card. Hanger back is a big deal too. Less of a big deal against us since we're so evasive. So it looks like my opponent did have a main deck board wipe. I wasn't expecting the Chandra's Ignition. Certainly worked well for my opponent there. Painful Truths. That's a good one. We get a dig through time off the top. We're in pretty good shape. All right. Rather get in 2 damage than pump, which I think is interesting. That's what's known as a good draw. All right, let's get in for damage. Might have actually just been better to play Pia and Kieran, but then I guess my opponent would just, if they had to burn Pia, and I'd rather than burn a Thopter. I mean, I was thinking I want to play Pia, so if they burn a Thopter, I can throw it at them in response, but they would clearly just burn Pia and Kieran instead, so that actually doesn't make any sense. All right, let's get our damage in. Drop Pia and Kieran and pass. So have to suspect Radiant Flames is coming in. Yeah, definitely bringing in 4 negates. I don't know if I want the spells for Crackling Dooms and Murderous Cut. It's probably not necessary. Butcher of the Horde. So my opponent can sack the Hanger Backwalker. So the question is, do I want... No, we don't. We don't want to do that. This is actually fine. Okay, so I can... think I let him pump. See, if I burn it, I don't want to burn. The problem is, basically all we have to make sure we do is block Butcher of the Horde. If he... We don't want to burn that in response. I see what he's giving us the urge to do it, but I don't think that's what we want. It actually doesn't help us, because we just want to block the Butcher and then throw it at him. That makes more sense to me. Why would he... That seems like a mistake. Ghost Fireblade. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I've got 6, 7, 8 mana. I was 1 mana away from just killing my opponent. So let's say I play a Ghost Fireblade, and... yeah, we play Blade. And we equip Blade. And I think we just swing with everything. And I believe that should be lethal. Opponent's got 1 card in hand, but I think this is lethal. Maybe not. This is still fine though, right? Yeah, my opponent's still dead. Because Pia's a good card. Because Pia is good. All right, it's got him game 1. Playing against, what is it, like a 4-color sort of weirdo Mardu control-ish weird thing. I could bring in the strokes. We're definitely bringing in the negates. I still want to keep my burn for his mentors. It seems like I can always drop a Ghost Fireblade. It seems fairly safe. Probably can drop a Sky Spawner, I would think. Do I want to bring in Disdainful Strokes? Butcher of the Horde's pretty good. I don't think it's like busted against us, though. It's pretty good with the Hanger Backwalkers. I'll give him that. Is Vile Aggregate worse? Well, it's good against Board Wipe. Not so good against Murderous Cut and Crackling Doom, which I assume he's keeping in. So maybe we can drop one aggregate and bring in maybe we bring in 1 or 2 Disdainful Strokes. So we drop, let's say, first of all, we should just swap the Wild Slashes for the Impulses, I think, if we're bringing in more spells. I mean, Wild Slash does hit face, which is good. What does Disdainful Stroke hit? So it hits Murderous Cut, Butcher of the Horde, Chandra's Ignition. Maybe this is fine, just the 1 Disdainful Stroke. Otherwise, I can go to 5 and bring in 2. What else does it... I mean, it technically can counter a Hangerback Walker if he pays 4 mana, which he did that game. But Chandra's Ignition, Murderous Cut, Butcher of the Horde. It's not going to hit the Radiant Flames, but we've got the negates for that. Should I presume he has more than that? I don't know. It doesn't seem like Fiery Impulse and Wild Slashes do a lot beyond killing Monastery Mentor, right? Because it's not like I'm super incentivized to burn Hangerback Walker, I don't think. So this kind of feels correct, I think. All right, let's try this. Yeah, it's a keep. No blue mana, but I think we still keep it, especially on the draw. I mean, we have a lot of good spells in this hand. All right, it's a reasonable draw. He also did not see aggregate game 1. All right, Hangerback. All right, Stroke, not quite playable yet. So now we need to draw basically any land, preferably not a Swiftwater Cliffs, but I'll settle for a Swiftwater Cliffs if it's the choice between that and a non-land. Oof. A little bit rough there. Man, if I'd drawn a blue mana there, keeping up Disdainful Stroke would have been so big. Although I guess he wouldn't have played a 4-drop anyway. Uh-oh. I think the Mentor's coming down, which is going to equate to trouble. Oh, Hangerback 2, I guess. Okay. All right, baby, come on. There we go. Let's just drop aggregate here. So I can't leave up Stroke, but I do have something down on the board now, which is nice. Silk Wrap. I'm actually surprised he brought Silk Wrap in. He didn't see aggregate. What did he see that would motivate him? Hangerback Walker. Okay. That's actually one problem with my deck, actually. Running Hangerback Walker incentivizes my opponent to bring in Silk Wrap, which is already good against our other game plan of Vile Aggregate. So it's not like a huge issue, but it is, well, certainly a thing in this situation. So I'd like to draw a non-Swiftwater Cliffs land. Non-Swiftwater Cliffs, non-Foundry of the Consoles land. That would be ideal. Because then at least we can possibly leave up... oof, that was a rough one. That was a rough draw. Rough draw given this hand. All right, we're on a fast track to losing if we don't draw a land here, unfortunately. Even land at this point does not bring us back in this game by any stretch of the imagination. Stroke versus negate. I guess stroke. I feel like there's less things stroke's gonna hit. Oof, man, that is painful. That is painful. Yeah, I guess we counter it. Soren. Okay. This could be worse. Huh. It's interesting. These are fourth lands. We can play Whirler Rogue. Can also double equip. Swing at Soren, but then my opponent can crack back. I think we go. And then my opponent can swing at me for too much. With the, yeah, okay. Well, we play Whirler Rogue and pass. So I guess if I'd made Vile Aggregate unblockable there, I would have died on backswing because no, I wouldn't have. Oh, I screwed that up. So I didn't think about my play. What I should have done is tap the 2 Ghost Fire Blades and swung in at Soren. That was a screw up. All right. Unfortunately, botched that play. Just missed it. But that comes with experience with this deck. Once I have more experience, I'll be much more competent at doing that. Keep in mind, I've only played grand total of less than 20 matches with this deck. Less than 20 matches. That's pretty small. Yes, I understand I'm giving myself excuses, but I don't know what you want from me. All right. So let's go to game 3. It turns out I would have lost anyway, but still a mistake in play. So we got to draw better than that. I think our deck's still great. I don't have any problems with our deck. I think it's great. We just need to draw better, or else we're not going to be able to do anything against that. So Wild Slashes are probably actually pretty good against Planeswalkers, but then again, so are the Disdainful Strokes. Leaving Disdainful Stroke up could be an issue, but I think 2 is still a pretty good number to have, given the rest of the deck. We did see one too many Ghost Fire Blades that game, but I think that's certainly not going to happen every game, and I still think they're just fine. I could swap one more Blade for another Disdainful Stroke. If he has Sorens and Gideons, Murderous Cuts, which he might have taken out. All right, let's take out one more Blade for another Stroke. There's enough things that I want to counter. I think it's worth it. All right, let's try this again. Would like to play first. Yeah, we can keep this. So, not going to play around Silk Wrap. Still would prefer to play Aggregate into Thopter Engineer. It's just more damage. So I could have played a second island there. Which might have been better. I don't know. It might have been better. Looks like he's going to hit a hanger back here, but that's okay. Impulse. So I can impulse it, but I think I'm actually going to chill on the impulse. I'm going to hope that my opponent waits on the hanger back. I also get a shot at hitting Monastery Mentor if he left that in. It's still sort of undecided if he did. I feel like he probably did, but there's certainly no reason to play Fiery Impulse there, I don't think. I'd much rather my opponent try and resolve a Mentor and let me kill it. I think that's better for us. Hanger back number 2. All right, so now I can go land, Thopter Engineer. Basically, I'm just going to burn his hanger back in response to the pump. So he ends up only getting 1 token. He gets ingested. We eat a Plains, which admittedly is not that sick. But next turn we can play Thopter Engineer and leave up Negate, which is pretty good. At the very least, not bad. Crackling Doom. Ugh, if only I could counter that. Quite the bummer. Sky Spawner. Man, that would have been a good one too. So I guess we want to play Sky Spawner here. Let's swing with both. Pretty happy with that block now that Sky Spawner is going to be better. Should have actually tapped the Shivan Reef. I don't know what I was... Doesn't matter, but still would have been smarter to leave up a mountain and an island. I mean, technically I could have played Engineer and Sky Spawner at the cost of the Scion, but I don't love it. I think we negate that. I don't want my opponent drawing 3 cards, even at the cost of 3 life. It's just early enough where 3 cards, I think, is a pretty big deal. Pretty happy my opponent's pumping there, though. It's just going to let us attack with everything, which I don't think makes a ton of sense. Oh, he's got Murderous Cut still? Is that right? That's surprising that he left that in. Alright. Disdainful Stroke. That is actually a pretty good draw, so... Guess I could have left up a red mana with my Shivan Reef that time, fake like I have something. This will work, though. Disdainful Stroke actually seems like a pretty reasonable draw here, too, to be honest. Technically, I guess he can attack with Shambling Vent. Doesn't look like he's going to, but we're going to stroke that. Take care of that problem. Still can pump Hanger Backwalker. So we are by no means out of problem areas here. We got to draw pretty hot. Aggregate is a good draw. So he can pump. I guess we just get in with Thopter and play Aggregate. Who's only a 3/5, which is not that sick. There's a Butcher. It's a problem. Just going to sack Hanger back. He can lifelink. Yeah, I mean, we're certainly in some trouble. No cards left in my opponent's hand. I guess that's good news. No sacks yet. Alright, Cliff's not quite the draw I'm looking for. Gonna need something a little bit sexier than that. We're gonna play it for the life gain. But gonna need a sexier draw. So opponent's just going to get copious amounts of pretty insane value here, which is sick for them, not so good for us. Pia and Kieran Nalar would be a pretty good draw. That's really what we wanted our opponent not to top deck, but they did, so that's that. So not very happy with how this game played out. Just turned out to be pretty absurd for our opponent and just not so good for us. So it looks like one of those situations where we should probably chump block. And then we just got to rip top decks for just the rest of the game. If we can just rip top decks for the rest of the game, I'll feel pretty good. That's number one. So I guess technically my opponent can triple block. But I think that we're just we need to get bodies off the board. This is actually interesting. If my opponent only triple blocks, my opponent takes it. Hanger Backwalker. Well, yeah, it would have been an annoying one, so I guess I'm glad I got rid of that. So I guess now we can block Butcher and start picking off Thopters with our Thopters. That's not bad. All right, hit a land there. That's good news for us. Okay, he's in full-fledged Shambling Vent mode, which is a 3/4. That's interesting. Glad I didn't attack with the Butcher there, actually. I think the block is 2 Engineers here, and a Thopter here, and then we're going to sack the Thopter to kill the Shambling Vent, and we're going to lose the Thopter Engineer as well as some life. But I don't think that's too big of a deal. All right, that is another good rip. Guess we better make, well, if I make aggregate unblockable, and then he swings with another Shambling Vent. What to do? Would it say he attacks with Shambling Vent? I can block with an Engineer, a Rogue, and a Thopter. Kill it. And then I chump block Butcher. That's not that great either. It's kind of a tough spot. Oh, and I'd have to tap. No, I can't do that. All right. We'll chill out this turn. So probably just going to take 10 damage, I guess. Which admittedly is not great. All right. I think that's going to do it. Yeah, it's Xaxes? No, I guess we have to block 3 things with our flyers. Still don't think we can sick rip our way into this. So now I guess we only have to block 2. Which I guess we'll begrudgingly do. There is no means for victory now at this point. Land. Swing with everything. Whatever gets blocked by Butcher, which is probably just aggregate. All right. did not win this game or this match, but this felt like a winnable match. Did kind of get shafted game 2. Pretty hard. I still think it was a keep, too. This game, my opponent just had some pretty sick rips. Pretty sick consecutive rips. Soren into Gideon into land into Gideon. So in 4 turns, Soren, Gideon, Gideon. Is just not... Oh, no, actually, that's not true. It was Soren, Gideon, Butcher, Gideon. Or no, it was Soren, Butcher, Gideon, Gideon. I think over 5 turns. It's either... Because he did draw a land 1 turn in there. I do know that. But I think in 5 turns he drew 3 Planeswalkers and a Butcher of the Horde, which is just pretty absurd. Just pretty absurd. So, did not get victory there, but that is okay. I still feel like our deck is very good. Like I said, game 2 could have worked out a lot better for us. Not the best circumstances there. I feel like he might have just taken out the Mentors and gone for more of a Planeswalker strategy, so maybe the burn idea wasn't that good. That could be true. All right, let's try another league match here.